Half-Life, the game where every NPC model looks exactly the same. Even the HD models, just like today's sponsor, no. So we were talking about Half-Life and how it is the most influential video game of all time.
Or is it?
So, Half-Life is a game released in November of 1998 by Valve, the same company known for making Counter-Strike, Portal, and other groundbreaking titles. It was made in the Gold Source engine, which was a highly modified version of the Quake engine, although Valve claims that majority of the code used in the engine was done by themselves, and it was an engine truly ahead of its time, as it could do skeletal animations in 1998. Yeah, you heard that right, 1998. Mind-blowing, right? Just like 9/11. So sorry for that. I still can't get over it. No! Many people think the Gold Source engine was used to make only Counter-Strike, Half-Life 1, etc., but it was actually used to make many more games. For example, Day of Defeat, Ricochet, Deathmatch Classic, Team Fortress Classic, etc. So it could support up to 32 players at one time, in multiplayer of course, and was quite ahead of its time. Some of the advanced features it had were scripted events. The game engine allowed for scripted sequences which enabled developers to create dynamic events and set pieces, enhancing the game's narrative and immersion. So, second one was realistic physics.
Really, nigga?
So the engine had basic physics capabilities, enabling objects to be affected by gravity and interact with the environment in a much more realistic manner. And the third, multiplayer support. The Gold Source engine supported multiplayer gameplay, which is a significant aspect for the success of Half-Life. This led to the development of popular multiplayer modes like Counter-Strike. You all must be thinking that it's so easy to make multiplayer games in this time, but that was 1998, not 2023. And the last thing was modding support. The engine came with a level editor called Warcraft, which allowed players and developers to create their own custom levels and modifications for the game. This led to the creation of a vibrant modding community and numerous fan-made content. If, again, you think this isn't a big deal, remember that was 1998. So, let's talk about the gameplay of Half-Life. Now, in this game, you play as a mute scientist in an HEV suit named Gordon Freeman, who is an employee at the Black Mesa Research Facility, when an experiment goes horribly wrong in the first 5 minutes. So you play the rest of the game trying to escape while also killing zombies, head crabs, barnacles, waterguns, and whatever these guys are called. You also seem to encounter some army grunts who were sent to handle the incident in Black Mesa. You also go to Zen through a portal. There you kill some aliens and come back to Black Mesa, only to shoot more aliens. Peak 1998 gameplay. Then at the end of the game, some mysterious guy in a suit asks you to join his cause. If you accept, he takes you with him. If you don't, you're just left in the middle of nowhere. And the game ends. Quite cool, right? It was very well received by the critics and players, so a year later an expansion for Half-Life was released. It was called Half-Life Opposing Force. In this game you play as Adrian, an army grunt who was sent to handle the incident, but this also failed in the next 5 minutes. The gameplay is the exact same as the original game, but the weapons are different, and in this game you try to escape the facility just like Gordon. But just like Gordon, at the end of the game, the same mysterious guy meets you and makes an offer, and then Adrian gets forgotten ever since. So, after that, in the June of 2001, another expansion was released. It was named Half-Life Blue Shift. In this game, you play as Barney Calhoun, or one of his million clones, a guard at Black Mesa, and this game is also about escaping Black Mesa. How surprising! But unlike Gordon and Adrian, Barney actually escapes. After all this, yet another expansion was released. It was called Half-Life Decay, and it was a multiplayer-only expansion for the PS2. Makes sense, right? You play as women, and I don't know much about this game since I've never played it. So, now let's talk about Half-Life Source. Half-Life Source was made in, can you guess what engine? The Unreal Engine. It was just Half-Life 1 remastered in the Source engine. supposed remaster was very bad. It was released in 2004 and wasn't very well received by the fans and critics alike, because it was very buggy and looked even worse than the original game. Remaster, well done Valve, because it was so bad, people just preferred the original game over it, and it also had very less mods. Remember, Half-Life is made, people play it in 2023 just for mods. That's what I think. So, after about 5 long years, Half-Life 2 was announced on E3 2003 and finally released in November of 2004. It was very well received by the fans and critics. The protagonist in this game was Gordon Freeman, the same from the first game, and it was quite good. And in June 2006, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 was released, continuing the story, and after another year, Half-Life 2 Episode 2 was released, October 2007, and ever since, Half-Life has gotten no more sequels. It's been almost 16 years since Half-Life 2 Episode 2 has released. Valve has given us absolutely nothing about Half-Life 3. Probably because they're too busy with cases in the Russian offensive. Meme 2023, so funny. Well, so this comes down to one conclusion. Is Half-Life the most influential video game of all time? This is a very tough question to answer because we haven't got an update on the franchise since 2007. In my opinion, I would call Half-Life one of the most influential video games of all time, but I would also call Half-Life the most influential FPS games of all times. Now why? So as you might know, Half-Life spawned many games which started out as mods for Half-Life but then became standalone games such as Counter-Strike, Day of Defeat, Gunman Chronicles, Team Fortress Classic. No, Team Fortress Classic was a different game, not like the cartoony shit you play in Team Fortress 2. These games are pretty successful, especially Counter-Strike and Team Fortress. So, on the other side, Grand Theft Auto 3 can be called as the most influential open world game of all time, and Half-Life the most influential FPS games of all time. I hope I don't start a war. As time goes on and new games are released, the title of the most influential game may shift based on changing trends and technological advancements. Despite being a game from 1998, Half-Life still has a decent player count of almost 400 people playing daily. I'm not targeting the battlefield killing name is World War III. It is truly a masterpiece, ahead of its time, and a game that will never be forgotten, and the childhood of many gamers, including us and our brothers and our sisters and many more. That sums the whole video. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.